welcome to Shasta College's first virtual exhibition. The gallery here at Shasta College has been showing artwork by recognized and emerging West Coast artists, as well as students and faculty for over 50 years. My name is David Gentry. I am a full-time faculty member in the art department and co-gallery curator. I curated this exhibition of work by William Wareham that you are about to see. The original intention for this show was not a virtual exhibition. Instead, the show was arranged for a public opening with the artist as a guest speaker. Unfortunately, last March, the college was shut down due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and this exhibition was not able to be open to the public. William Wareham is an internationally known artist that got his start first on the East Coast at the Philadelphia College of Art and then at UC Berkeley, where he received his MFA degree in 1971. He has received numerous awards, some including an award scholarship to Yale University, the Eisner Prize for Sculpture 2 years in a row at UC Berkeley, the Pritzker Foundation Endowed Fellowship Award 1974, National Endowment for the Arts, a 1999 Jurassic residency, and the list goes on. We are proud to show such a distinguished artist and continue the legacy of exhibiting internationally recognized artists. I want to welcome you in to see some of this great artist's work here in the Shasta College Art Gallery in Redding, California. Thank you.
I think I was asked to talk about something here behind me, or to my back and forth. Let's talk about the little ones since they're smaller. What we're looking at here is obviously a sculpture with a center removed, or what I call an air slot. And this series is a whole series of these. Some of them are quite large. Went into corporate yards and homes. This particular one is an air slot, and I kind of like the way that it's aluminum, so that's kind of unusual. But anyway, I kind of like the way they're jagged, this shape. So I thought, this kind of reminds me of what a bear trap must look like. So that's the title of this, bear trap. I'm going to talk to you about this drawing. I call it a drawing. They're on paper. Usually the paper is blackened, or I mix lamp black into the beeswax. The title of this one is Swoon, and it just seemed to have some element of femininity to this piece. Either the action of these two small arcs were just enough to imply a resting point for a woman's arm, and maybe that's her derriere, and this is the other arm, but that it doesn't have a head and doesn't need it because there's some action happening there. But look, there's a painting, it's actually a drawing, behind me, and you might be thinking when you look at it, why is it so active? The last black and white piece, where we were talking about being static, and this one, there's just lots of action all around. And I have to admit, if there was a source for this, there's a beautiful painting de Kooning did called Excavation, and I think it's in the Chicago Art Institute on that painting. But it's just wonderful. Action, 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 curses. So there's some of that action here, but it's also stifled, It's not like I was copied the work of, there's just a sense of big scale. And big scale doesn't necessarily make it a good painting. But in time, you learn how to work with the surface, work with areas that are full of surprises. Okay, you remember when we were talking about the metal sculptures in the first part of this lecture, and I was saying how it was weathered steel. It's called Core 10, and still very much desirable by architects, because it leaves the outside with a patina that doesn't rust all the way to oblivion, in other words. Well, these kind of guys are implying that they would be made in Core 10 steel. I wanted to work with the integrity of the material. So when I cut through, there you go, when I cut through, I have a negative space, but then what happened with the cut through? Well, it's right over here. In some places, it's underneath, or it's in the back. I mean, I might change the rule a little bit. Remember I told you there were no rules? But I have this curve. So if it's pure, if it's the artwork and the concept of pure, then that edge would be straight. But no, I want to make it impure, so I've got curves. The cutout here ends up being right there, very nice big slab. But in this case, I cut through the top and just bent it down. So that triangle works like a zigzag. Well, it works to float in the space, which makes it have a certain amount of strength. Now, what I also should share with you is what is going on here with these other supports back here. Why couldn't I have resolved that sculpture without all that support on the back? Well, because I'm working about making the sculpture light. You know, we let Richard Serra deal with the heavy. But in this case, I want it to be light, so just the less amount of places it touches the earth, you get this sense of lightness. So here's a good example. This is this would normally be blown up, be a foot by a foot piece of square tube. But it only, when it comes time to support the piece, it's only touching in one spot. It's touching another spot and the third spot, because 3 is all you need. So these are all done approximately to the scale of 1 inch to a foot. Sometimes I kind of want to boost up the size of it a little bit, and the thickness is usually 1 inch, or sometimes as small as 5/8 thick material. So it's important, if you live long enough, that you get to just let loose sometimes and be free. And those kind of things, you know, kind of keep you rolling. But I'm still, just like with the metal sculptures, and you can't get away with it, can't get away from it, still interested in the negative spaces. I mean, this space that goes through here, the air slot, remember the pieces that we were talking about? Or those cut out steel pieces that were folded and reconfigured, different relationship. All have a sense of this negative space. And on this one, the negative space is on the back. But what a delight to see it there. I mean, if you're a client of art, you'd discover it and you'd say, hey, gang, come over here, look at this. So that's where it can go.